Today, I'm going to be continuing my journey reviewing the Darkwing Duck comics by Dynamite by taking a look at issue number 4, which is written by Daniel Kibblesmith with art by Ted Brandt and Rose Stein. With this issue's cover being done by Tad Stones, who created the original series the comic is based on. So far, Dynamite's second shot at Darkwing Duck has been going pretty well, so we'll see if it can continue. We begin with Darkwing and Launchpad strapped to a rocket, about to be blasted away by Steelbeak, when Darkwing is able to, after a little bit of a wordplay, Darkwing escapes and does a flying kick into Steelbeak's face. And then we get a full page spread of Launchpad holding a newspaper of Darkwing kicking Steelbeak in the face, where we get the title for this issue, Small Time Kooks, as well as also we see the names of the various people involved in this issue's creation. Darkwing, Launchpad, and Goslin are at the Audubon Bay Bridge base. Darkwing admires himself. Goslin is practicing using nunchucks against a dummy, and Launchpad is disappointed that he wasn't able to be more helpful. Which is when Darkwing reveals that to celebrate their victory, to have a family outing, which Goslin wants to go to Jack and Quacker's Family Fun Arcade, which is a fun little parody of Dave and Buster's arcade. But Darkwing would rather go to a 3-hour lecture on the history of fingerprint analysis. But little do any of them know, Quack and Jacker's Family Fun Arcade is being run by Quacker Jack, which he still holds a massive resentment towards Darkwing. You know, it is a bit weird that Quacker Jack could be running an arcade, considering in the episode Whiffle While You Work, which is where Darkwing and Quacker Jack meet for the first time, he specifically hates video games. Quacker Jack ends up being interrupted from his ranting by Lilliput. After yelling at each other for a little bit, they realize that they both hate Darkwing Duck. And Lilliput is a Darkwing villain who's a very obscure villain who usually ends up being a punchline in the very rare occasion that he ends up being used. Lilliput uses his shrinking gun to shrink the arcade and has the army of ants that he can control using his mind control helmet that works on insects to move Quackerjack's arcade into the middle of the road and causes Launchpad to crash the car into the mini golf pond. Drake is not very happy about this development, but Goslin is super excited that she got to go to the arcade after all. But then it very quickly spots Quackerjack and realizes that this is a trap. But we do get a little funny quick gag of her not being able to remember Lilliput's name. A little bit of making fun of Lilliput about how useful his ability to talk to ants are. The whole thing was a ploy to get Darkwing's attention and then trap him. And since Darkwing is in his civilian identity as Drake Mallard, they have no idea they've actually succeeded. But Darkwing is able to change into his costume. But before he can really do anything, he gets shrunk down with Launchpad and placed into a skee ball game. And then Launchpad and Darkwing find themselves on the air hockey table as they hang on for dear life as Quackerjack and Lilliput smack them around the table. They eventually end up on the ground. And end up hiding from Lilliput and Quackerjack. And they're going to get no help from Goslin since she's too busy playing Kick Fighter 4, which is a clear reference to Street Fighter 4. So then Launchpad and Darkwing make it to the slot car table and end up commandeering one of the slot cars before they end up crashing into the claw machine. And just as it looks like Quackerjack and Lilliput have won, they both get shrunk down because while they were distracted, Goslin end up beating Kick Fighter 4 and then using the shrinking gun on them. And with the day saved and Darkwing and Launchpad return to normal size, they now have to figure out what they're going to do with a shrunken Quackerjack and Lilliput. And that's when we get probably one of the best gags of the comic. On the last page, it's revealed that Darkwing took Quackerjack and Lilliput to the seminar. We then, at the bottom of the page, get a little tease to the identity of the villain in the next issue, which looks like it's going to be Megavolt. And now for my thoughts. I thoroughly enjoyed that comic. It truly felt like I was watching a comic version of an episode from the original series. The characterizations were spot on. There's some pretty funny jokes. The art was pretty expressive, and the posting was good. Goslin still looks a little weird in this art style, but it doesn't really bother me that much anymore. It's really nice to see her actually use her catchphrases, keen gear and cool beans, because for whatever reason, the previous attempt at doing a Darkwing comic by Dynamite, she didn't use her catchphrases. And Daniel Kibblesmith has done a good job at replicating the back and forth between Launchpad and Darkwing. Quackerjack's whole thing since his creation has always been that he's a lunatic toy maker and his gimmick is toys. It's weird that he'd be running an arcade considering that he blames video games for putting him out of business. Broaden his gimmick so that they can branch off into new avenues in the future. Even though Lilliput is kind of a joke villain, it is nice that he gets at least some usage. All in all, though, this is a very good comic. Highly recommend. I'm looking forward to what the future holds for the upcoming issues. Till next time, see ya.